Hello everybody, welcome to my Assassin's Creed Origins progression video. In this video we're going to go over tips and tricks that I wish I'd known early on in the game, and things that that I just think will be helpful to people that are starting out in the game. Now first up we're going to talk about leveling. Leveling is very important in Assassin's Creed Origins as it increases your base stats. This is stats like damage, health, and other stuff as well. I'll probably have this up on the screen for you guys to see. And also dictates the level of the gear that you can gain. So, what are the best ways to level up in Assassin's Creed Origins? The quickest way to level is to complete side quests. There are tons of these out in the world and throughout the game. Completing them will net you lots of XP, as well as various types of rewards like costumes and that kind of thing. The XP is going to come in large chunks this way, and it definitely is the most effective way to level. The next best method is visiting the unknown locations on the map. Most of these are pretty simple self-contained side quests where you might need to kill a few enemies or pick up some loot chests. This will net you a few hundred XP each time you do this, and they are littered all over the map and are indicated by a question mark. There are a lot of these locations, so as you kind of visit these locations going around the game, it's going to net you tons of XP as well as gear. The last way that I'll mention is killing enemies. I mentioned this because because this is the slowest way to level, but it is kind of relevant. Only netting you a few XP per kill. It's worth noting that you can improve this through the skill trees. For example, you can unlock an ability that will allow you to gain an extra bit of XP every time you get a headshot or every time that you perform a stealth kill. But I personally don't really think it's worth it. So on with the skill tree. As you level, you will gain ability points to spend here. I recommend getting skills that benefit your playstyle the most. So anything that I say here, take it with a pinch of salt and do what's best for you. But for me, the combat and overseer style skills are the best ones. Particularly things like the sleep darts, poison body, and overpower skills, which will make winning combats far easier. Now next up, let's talk about upgrading stuff. Now your base stats are displayed on your gear menu, and you can upgrade them with materials that you can find out in the world. So these can be seen at the bottom of your gear screen, and they all require similar types of materials. Now these are broken down into kind of like animal products, so leathers, and into metals and wood. Now then, looking at leathers are the easiest ones to attain. All you need to do is kind of deploy senu and find the leather symbol or the symbol of the item that you want to get. This works for both obviously leather and metal. And then when you see the symbol, you can select it with senu, and that will keep it marked for you. This happens with the metals and the cheddar wood as well, but these ones are carried by enemies rather than just simply defeating animals. They're a little bit harder to attain, mainly because you'll have to kind of chase down and hunt the kind of people. They usually have like an entourage with them and stuff, so just bear that in mind. For me, the best way to keep on top of this is part the way through the game you'll get a horse, and basically you can set it to autopilot. And as it's on autopilot, you can literally hover above yourself with senu and keep an eye out as to what resources are close to you. So as you're going to and from each area, you can kind of keep on building up the materials, which is really, really useful. Also, it's worth noting that materials can sometimes be found in containers around the game world. This is mostly in places like enemy camps and stuff, or the places where you'll generally be finding loot. So make sure you keep an eye on that. As well as that, probably another one I'm going to show you, particularly as we're gaining loot from all these places, is breaking down the loot that you gain as you go through the game. I recommend doing this quite a lot rather than upgrading them, mainly because you're going to be leveling up quite fast, and trying to keep up with upgrades is quite expensive in terms of the drachmas that you can kind of use. So if you are going to upgrade something, make sure that it is an exceptionally useful piece of gear. Only really the gold coloured weapons are the ones that I personally upgrade. But that's up to you. If you find something particularly useful and you want to keep it, obviously it's up to you guys if you want to upgrade that, but it doesn't really work for me that way. Let's talk about Senu herself. our new companion. Senu is our eyes and ears, as you can use her to spy and eavesdrop on enemies as well as other stuff. Simply, all you need to do is use the hover mode, which is left trigger on the controller, to spot important stuff. Now, if you hover over enemies, she'll keep them highlighted for you and stuff like that, and she'll also identify where key figures are. So if you're in an area where you need to pick up treasure and stuff, you'll have a little kind of directional marker, and all you need to do is hover over it and that will mark it out for you. All of this is quite useful and quite obvious, as the game tells you most of this, but something that's not as obvious is that you can actually improve Senu's detection range by synchronizing with the high points that are all over the map, which is really handy. Now that concludes all of the tips that I think are the handiest. If you have any of your own, please post them down below, and if you have made it this far, thank you very much, and please like and subscribe to the channel, as that really